welcome to the Mindful Making video podcast. This is episode number 19, and I have a bit of a cold or a bit of things in my throat, but I hope it will disappear when my voice has warmed up. But anyway, this is a video podcast mainly about knitting. It's also about enjoying the moment and also enjoying what you make, because knitting for me is my mindfulness practice, and maybe it is for you as well. So you have landed here in my living room, Hornsby Heights, north of Sydney in Australia. Today it's the 27th of May. It is Corona time, COVID-19 is still out there. Restrictions are being lifted, so the kids are back at school full time, which is good. They enjoyed the online learning and they did very well, but they're also happy and pleased to be with their friends again. Oh, my throat. And my youngest son also started football training yesterday, which was first time in at least 2 months, and physical distancing, so there wasn't any close contact. So it was just small drills and fitness exercises, but he was very happy. So we are starting to going back to a bit of normal again. I'm still working from home, and I thought here in my lunch break I would take the opportunity to talk to you about my passion for yarn and for knitting and for making. So grab a cuppa, coffee, tea or something stronger, and grab your project, and I hope you will enjoy this little session with me. It's probably be about half an hour, but let's see how we go. Lovely cup of coffee. You can find me as Mindful Making on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm Mindful Making AU on Ravelry, and I also have an Etsy shop of that name. Last week I discovered I've known about the link tree option to link to your Instagram account, to link out to your various places online. So I did that. So if you go to my Instagram profile, you have an access to all the other places where you can find me and find information about my projects. What I've been working on lately, there's been a lot of knitting going on, I think, and some finished objects that I will share with you. I do find though that even though I have a lot of time to knit, I don't feel that I have time enough. I don't know if that's even a thing. And I guess people who don't knit as much as I do, which is probably knit 4 hours a day or something, that they might think, oh, that's way too much. But for me, I could knit all day, to be honest. So one of the latest finished projects is the one that I'm wearing. Oh, my throat is playing up, but let's see how it goes. This is the beautiful Treysta by Jennifer Steingass, and it was first published in Lane magazine number 3 in these beautiful colors. And while I was preparing for this video, I just looked at the picture here, and then I saw the Colourwork on the sleeves, which I've totally missed out, but that can be added later. But this is my version of the Treysta sweater. It is worked in Plötulopi, which is Icelandic wool, unwinded I think it's the closest you can get to wool directly from the sheep's back as a yarn that you can knit with. So I was gifted this yarn by one of my husband's colleagues, an Icelandic lady called Elin. So thank you very much, Elin. It is a few years back, and I thought Icelandic wool would be way too warm for Australia, but after I finished this Sunday night, I have been wearing it full time since then. It's just amazing how just real natural wool is it just regulates the temperature. And it's been quite cold the last few days, so we have had 12-14 degrees during the day, and the houses in Australia are not very well insulated, so it gets cold inside. And and working from home, I sit still, and then working on the computer, and then this jumper has just been a pleasure to wear. I haven't been feeling cold, I haven't been feeling overheated or anything. It's just been absolutely beautiful. I'm just wearing a merino long-sleeved jumper or t-shirt underneath, and then this a beautiful sweater. So it's a round yoke with colourwork, and the yarn looks like this. So this is what is left of the dark grey, and this is what is left of the lighter grey. And as you can see, it is a yarn that is, it's only winded or twisted very little, or so it's you have to be careful when you knit with it, because it does like this. You can just pull it apart, and I was worried that it would do that often, but it hadn't done. It's been an absolute joy to knit with. But if that happens, it's quite easy just to lay it on top of each other and just repair the yarn like this. It is a bit scratchy, and it smells of sheep. My kids do not like that smell, but I absolutely lovely. And I think this project was just the right project at the right time. So it took me 8 days to finish this this jumper. I will insert a video so you can see in its total beauty and wearing it, because it's difficult to stand up for me here. But look at this beautiful color work up here. When knitting it, I was a bit afraid that this would be too small. I haven't blocked it or anything, so it's as my sister said, but can't you just block it on your body? And of course, yes, I can do that. So I've just been wearing it since it got off my needle Sunday night, and now this has sort of stretched out, so it fits over my shoulder. It's quite a tight fit, but and I was worried that it was too small. But now that I've been wearing it, I really like that it's tighter fitted, that you don't, working on the computer and just walking around and wearing it, that it's not this big, massive jumper where there's too much fabric everywhere. So it's nice and fitted. It's just, it has this just rolled hem at the neckline here, which makes that there is room just to breathe up here. Sometimes when you have wool, or at least that's what I feel, that when wool too close to the neck, it just gets too itchy and too warm. But this is just beautiful. So the sleeves are they could probably have been 5 centimeters longer, but this is what is left of two, what do you call these? They're not bowls, they're cakes of the white wool. So that's what's left. So I was just looking at how the bowl just got smaller and smaller, and I didn't dare to go any further. So this is what's left. So as I said, the right project, the right yarn, the right time, and 8 days to finish a jumper like this is pretty amazing. I think I did the Colourwork on a 4mm needle, and the body and sleeves on a 375, and it just flew by. And it was I just loved to work with that natural wool. It's just such a pleasure. So it's not the last time I do that. I do think though that I won't need that many of these warm sweaters here in Australia. And I also got a message from Denmark saying, do you even wear it? Is there any use for it here? But yes, there is. And a nice chilly evening outside, or as I've just said, that I wear it inside, and it's just amazing, and how it regulates temperature. So I can't praise it enough. The pattern was excellent, easy to follow, the yarn is beautiful. You can't, as far as my research go, I couldn't find it in Australia, that you can buy it here. You would have to go to the Northern Hemisphere, to Iceland or to the Scandinavian countries to find it. But I'm very pleased, as you can see, proud of this jumper, so I really enjoy that. So that's the first finished object I want to talk about. The next one, there are a few in this podcast, so I hope you're ready for that, and I'll just have a sip of my coffee to clear my throat maybe. Another one that has been sitting half finished for a while is this Sunday sweater. So I made a few as Christmas gifts, and if you go back 4 or 5 episodes, you would see that I've done a few. I think this is number 4, and I ran out of the silk mohair before Christmas, so I had to just stop and wait for it to be delivered. And then I had other projects going on, so it's just been sitting waiting for suitable time. So, but now it's done. I think this is size medium. As far as I remember, I have, no, not this one. I will put up details of this one on Ravelry if you want to see, but I haven't made any modifications. Apart from forgetting the Colourwork here. But this one I don't think is up there, but the other versions that I've made are up. And I've used 3 yarns held together. So it is a Højlands Highland wool from Garnussel in Denmark. It's a 100% lamb's wool in the color light grey, or rullesten in Danish. And then a coast yarn from Holst Garn, and the color is silver grey. So I've held those together, and then added in a mohair, silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. Not easy to see, and it is called, the color is Zinc. So these 3 held together, gives this nice fabric. And it is worked on needle size 6, I think. I think it is, or 7. to be honest. Can't remember. But this is a quick project as well. I like that it's that the neckline is folded doubled. It gives it a nice round structure, and I like the finish of that. So that's ready. It will be put in the box, the gift box, to be gifted later in the year. Finished. So that was finished object number 2. Are you ready for one more? Yeah, so it has been a busy knitting month, and also, you know, I've been finishing off projects. And the last finished object is this beauty. So this is the super simple summer tee that I've been working on for a while. It's now been washed and blocked. I loved to work with this yarn, and I loved how it turned out, but after washing and blocking, it's even more beautiful. It's, you know, silk, super fine merino. It's just so beautiful, and I really love the colors as well. And in the last episode, I talked about whether I would run out of yarn and whether it would be long enough, sort of length of body, because I wanted just to use one skein, and 100 gram is 800 or 1000 meters. Let me just check. Yeah, 800 meters of yarn. So in size 40 type medium. I wanted it just to be one skein, but I was a bit worried that it would be too cropped. So I bought a second ball of yarn from Glenhavenknits. It's the same, you know, it's still called African Daisy, but and this is where you can see it, that it's hand-dyed yarn, that the new color is way more sort of blue purple tone than this one. And I just added the lower hem in that color, so you can see it is, or the waist hem, that it's a very different color. But I was just thinking that if you are about to run out of yarn, you know, the rib sections on the arms and down here could just be done in a different color. It could be a white, or it could be a soft pink or something. So I think that works really well with this one. So it is a worked in the round, invisible increases, very simple, and a sort of a wide fit or loose fit. I will also here insert a film so you can see me wearing it. And I would also say that I'm very pleased with this top, but I think I will do one more. And because there's something about the sleeves that they might be too tight, which means that there's too much fabric just around the shoulder and the armhole. So I need to figure that out, how I recalculate that and distribute the stitches differently so that the sleeves would get a bit more stitches. So, but now I have another ball of yarn that I can try once more. I'm not saying how many times I redid this one, but I'm happy to do a second one in this beautiful color here. So it will be very similar, and maybe I will try to add in the contrast sort of ribbings on that one. So I just need to do one more before I can put it into a pattern. it has to be right. And you, but leave me a comment. What do you think? Is it right, or should I just? I will redo it though. I want one more. So yeah, but I'm interested to hear your opinion. Whether it's because it's too tight here around the arms that it sort of gives this fold here, or whether it's even avoidable. I don't think so, because I do still want a fairly loose fitted summer tee. So that's finished object number 3. Today it's very much about knitting. There's not that much sort of I'm just saying, nothing else happens in this this household, where one day just slips into the next, one day after the other. So they look very similar. So it's up in the morning, go for a walk sometimes, and then working and dinner, watching TV and knitting. So that's the days. We had friends over for a nice meal a few weekends back when that was allowed. So that was very nice to see people in flesh and blood instead of just over the screen. But still, my choir singing is via Zoom. Also a book club. We still meet via Zoom. I think the next book club evening discussion will be in person, so I'm looking forward to that. We are currently reading Educated by Tara Westover. Good book, a bit tough, a bit traumatic in some aspects, but really a good read, and I'm looking forward to discussing it with my book club friends. Let's move on to what is on my needles. So last time I talked about the Koivua sweater by Caitlin Hunter. It's still on the needles. It hasn't moved, or it hasn't progressed very much since the last podcast. So I have just done a bit on the sleeves, or the first sleeve here. So the first sleeve, but I don't know what is happening with my knitting at the moment. I don't know whether I've done too many push-ups, whether I have gained too many, isolation kilos on the body, but it's too tight around here in the Colourwork in the sleeves. So I would have to rip that back and start over. I am thinking of whether I should rip it all back. And why, you may think it's beautiful, and I really love it. I'm just thinking whether I should, instead of holding the yarn, working single stranded, whether I should work it double stranded, so it gets closer to the intentions of the pattern and how it's described, so it gets a sort of looser fit. What do you think? I don't mind knitting it again. That's not the problem. I would easily do that, and happily do that. I still really enjoy the yarn and the pattern. But let's see next time. There might be an update on how that is progressing and what I've decided. pulse yarn, the cotton wool in Skylight, and Lead, the dark grey. Beautiful yarns, and this is lovely. This is lovely. So more on that later. Then I have started another project. When this was done, I thought I would do a shawl and maybe design one myself. So my thoughts were, so I'll show you a little drawing. Something like this. Yeah. And I was just looking for some yarn in my stash, and I had something that I thought would work, but then it didn't. Or it could do, but then I thought it was that was a lace weight yarn as well, so it would be a lot of knitting to a decent size shawl. So I disregarded that, and then I went online and looked around and browsed, and I found this beautiful yarn. So I was looking for something of subtle colors, a bit of blue and a bit of brown, and this is just beautiful. It is a yarn dyed by Pirate Pearl yarn. It's an Australian hand dyer, and this is called the base is called Black Bead 4-ply fingering weight or fingering, and it's Polworth 90% and 10% silk, 340 meters per 100 gram, and it is the Hard Candy collection, shade number 19. And this Polworth and the silk just makes it a squishy, soft, beautiful yarn. It's so lovely to work with. And this is how far, oh no, I've stopped in the middle of a round. This is how far I've come. Let me turn the right way. So it's, stockinette sections, and then a lace pattern here. So it will be it won't be too high here, probably 50-60 centimeters, but then quite long. So I think this is turning out very well. It's so soft and warm. So this is my current work in progress that I take out in the night when I'm watching TV. I'm really enjoying working with this yarn. Coming from this quite coarse wool into this super duper soft is a complete other experience. Both of them beautiful and a delight to work with. Yeah, keep you posted on that one. And what I'm watching while I am knitting, when we went into this lockdown a few months back in March, we were just thinking that we should subscribe to Netflix. We hadn't been on Netflix before that, and we did. So I watched a few Netflix shows, and of course I started with The Crown. I loved it. It's amazing. It's such a beautiful movies and a series. So I've watched those episodes. The next one that I will recommend if you haven't watched it is Afterlife, about this man who loses his wife to cancer and how he deals with the grief afterwards, and it's good. I really enjoyed it, so I highly recommend that as well. I also watch, knitting podcasts. I've been, scattering around for a few. I've watched all of Mrs. Wahlgren's podcast. It's a Swedish podcast. She's just a delight to watch. Otherwise, it's sort of different episodes all around. So I will come up with further recommendations. But I think my voice is now not good anymore. So I will stop recording for now. I hope you're all well and have a lovely knitting time and have many beautiful projects. I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.